everybody, this is Zoe from No Safer Place, and today I am back with one of my Worth the Hype videos. Now, if you aren't familiar with those, I take a book that has a lot of hype surrounding it and tell you if I think that it is worthy of it. Now, the book I'm talking about today had me so excited before I read it. The author is Taran Matharu, and he is the author of the Summoner series. So when I found out that he was releasing a new series with dinosaurs, I was practically sold already. I'm a huge fan of dinosaurs in YA. It is such an overlooked topic. Apart from the Extinction Trials, I can't really think of any books that are YA and involve dinosaurs heavily. So I feel like Taran told me about this book a while ago, maybe like last year's Yalk, and I was so ready for it. It came on Saturday morning and I was finished by Saturday afternoon, so take of that what you will, but keep watching this video to find out if I think the Contender is worthy of the hype. So I got sent the proof copy by Team BKMRK. This is called Contender The Chosen. Can we just appreciate this cover for a moment? Obviously this isn't the finished one. The dinosaurs are incredible. I'm not sure if it's the same artist that did the Summoner series covers, because it has the same kind of vibe. But yeah, this book comes out in June. Super excited to tell you about it. So let's get going with the video. Now, fantasy reviews I always struggle with more than anything. I always find the plot so much more intricate. I always find it a lot harder to explain what's going on, because usually there's so much going on that I feel like I couldn't possibly fit it into one video. I did manage to write 4 pages of notes for this book, so yeah, you could say I had a lot to say about it. When I was reading this book, I spent about 95% of the time theorizing what I thought was going to happen, and just falling short pretty much every time. Not even one of my theories was correct, which is, you know, great. I'd seen it described as very Hunger Game-esque with dinosaurs, but I feel like that doesn't give this book justice. It is so much more than that. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the Hunger Games, I absolutely adored it, but in my opinion, this book is written so much better. The world building is so much better. Just everything about it is so much better. But obviously, because the Hunger Games was massively successful, I do understand the comparisons. So what I found interesting about this book is that it is set in an unknown place during an unknown time and an unknown age, so you don't really know where the hell this is being set and what time period it's being set, which I think made it so much more exciting. It's setting a place where everything and nothing seems to exist, which I know is a very vague description, but it is so true. All of the people that have wound up at this place have no idea how they got there, have no recollection of how they got there. They just woke up one day and were there, face to face with some very awful creatures, but no spoilers there. What I mean when I say that everything and nothing seems to exist is that there is so much from so many different time periods and ages in this place that they've wound up in, but nothing that we know seems to exist. So nothing from our lifetime feels like it fits in there. Nothing that we know really exists there. I know what I'm saying really doesn't seem to make sense, and even as I'm saying it, I'm thinking, wow, you are explaining this in such an awful way, Zoe, but hopefully this review will sell you enough to go out and get it, so bear with me. I did say I wasn't very good at fantasy reviews. So in this place, there are a whole lot of different things from different cultures, different time periods, different ages. For example, in one part of this land, we have Romans. In another part of this land, we have dinosaurs. In the next part of this land, we have Mayan structures. In the next part of this land, we have mutants, and they all coexist in this one place. This world is nothing like you have ever experienced. Although it sounds really confusing and like there's so much going on, it all fits together so perfectly, and the ending, when it's kind of explained what's going on, your mind will be blown and it will all fit together perfectly. So our main character, Cade, has been sent to a rehabilitation-like camp for a year instead of going to juvie. I'm not going to tell you how he's wound up there, but he is there, and that's the most important thing. But then one day he wakes up in this place and finds himself as a contender in a game that he has never heard of and we have never heard of before. And to pass the qualifying round and make it into the next stage of these games, they have to just survive the next few days, which is easier said than done in this place. The amount of intricacy and finer details in this book makes me wonder how much research Taran must have done for it. There are so many artifacts and cultures that come together in this book, and it just works. This book also feels like kind of educational because you learn so much about things, which is just absolutely fantastic. I am not really big on history. I walked out of my history exam at school, so yeah, I'm not exactly great at it. But when it's interwoven into a book so brilliantly, why can't schools teach it like this? Because damn, I would find it so much more exciting. I'm not going to say much more about the plot apart from he is a contender in this game that no one knows. He doesn't know how he's wound up there, and he meets a lot of people and creatures along the way. I feel like if I say much more about the plot, it will spoil massive plot points, so that's all I'll say about that. Talk a little bit about Cade. Cade is a really likeable main character. One of the themes that is focused on in this book is racism. So Cade is Indian, and pretty much from the get-go, people give him shit for it. The racism in this book is highlighted so well. The way that Taran writes about it, you can almost feel that he has definitely drawn this from personal experiences, and yeah, it is really tough to read some of it, but when you're reading it, you can almost remember what these kind of arsehole people were like when you were in school, and how they would pick on people that weren't like themselves. And yeah, I think it was done really accurately, even though it breaks my heart to say so. Just everything about this book was simply unputdownable. Taran's world building is just so compelling. There is something so frigging fantastic about the way that he has made this place and how believable he's made this place, even though it shouldn't be at all. With the characters, even though there are quite a few that you absolutely detest, he's created them and crafted them so beautifully that you're curious to know what happens to them all. That doesn't mean that you care about what happens to them, but you want to know what happens to them. You want to know if they're meeting the untimely end that they deserve, or they're being victorious like they deserve. You just want to know what's happening to these characters. The twist at the end, obviously I'm not going to say what it is, but that changed everything for me. It was brilliant, and the idea on how I thought book 2 and 3 would go just completely changed there. It was just a game changer. Back to talking about dinosaurs in YA. It is something I will always vouch for, because I feel like, especially with how popular things like Jurassic Park are and Jurassic World are, come on, we need more. I feel the same with films actually. Like, why do we not have more dinosaurs in our lives? Come on guys, it sells so well. What I liked about this is there were some dinosaurs in this book that I hadn't heard of before, or they were described not as I'd known them before, which I found really interesting. And as an avid dinosaur fan myself, I agreed with a lot of what I thought they should have been. I always feel like when dinosaurs are depicted, they never really looked like that. I know that we can never really know, but I feel like they can't just have been scaly and all kind of looked similar. But that's a rant for a whole nother video. The level of detail, as I've said, is perfect. It is fast paced. I am so excited for book 2. I haven't read a book that contains so much action before. I feel like that's what I usually struggle with fantasy, and why I don't read it that often, but with this it just worked, and oh, I adored it. It alluded enough to know what was happening and what might possibly happen without giving away too much, which I feel like books really lack these days. They just come in full force and tell you too much about what's happening, and this didn't do that. It was just the perfect amount of intrigue. What I also loved about this book is that the reader discovers revelations at the same time as the characters do. So I loved that level of not knowing just as much as the characters didn't. I thought that kept the book so much more exciting, and I just thought that was a really clever idea. So if you hadn't guessed from this review, this book is definitely worthy of the hype surrounding it. It comes out in June. I would highly recommend you go out and grab a copy when it comes out, because it is bloody fantastic. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, leave a comment below, or maybe even subscribe. You can turn on the notification bell, which will notify you when I upload new videos, which is usually every Tuesday and every Saturday. Hope you all have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you would like to see more of on my channel, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.